Daulat Tuanku.
PM mengumumkan yuran pendaftaran universiti awam dihadkan tak lebih daripada RM1,500.
Kes kemasukan ke hospital meningkat 2 kali ganda akibat jerbu.
Dan difahamkan sekurang-kurangnya 8 wartawan terbunuh dan 2 lagi hilang dalam serangan udara Israel ke atas Gaza.
Hai, saya Nala Huda, kakak fiber anda. Dan hari ini saya ada satu soalan nak share dari Aida Bahar. Dia tanya, Wi-Fi cover satu rumah ke? Handphone boleh cover? Dah tentu Astro Fiber dengan router canggih Wi-Fi 6 boleh cover satu rumah, satu family boleh pakai. Bukan saja semua handphone boleh jimat data pakai Wi-Fi. Anak-anak nak buat homework online pun senang. Ini ada satu lagi tips jimat kita nak bagi tahu. Bila you nak keluar rumah, downloadlah cerita siap-siap dekat Astro Go app tu. Lepas tu, boleh layan dalam train, dalam kereta, dalam flight. Tak kacau data handphone you langsung. Jimat dah tu Aida. Ada lagi soalan? Tanyalah. Gunakan hashtag Tanya Kakak Fiber. Okey?
Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheikh. Johor ruler Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar has been announced as the 17th Yang di-Pertuan Agong. His 5-year reign will begin on January 31st, 2024, with Perak's Sultan Nazrin Muizzuddin Shah as his deputy.
In a statement, keeper of the ruler's seal, Tan Sri Syed Daniel Syed Ahmad said the election was held during a special meeting of the Conference of Rulers in Istana Negara today. The special meeting was presided by the Terengganu Sultan and was attended by all Malay rulers except Kelantan and Perlis. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has also been notified on the matter. Sultan Ibrahim will replace Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah of Pahang, whose reign will end on January 30th next year. It will be the first time a Johor ruler has been appointed as the Yang di-Pertuan Agong in over 3 decades. The former Johor ruler Sultan Iskandar Ismail was Agong from 1984 to 1989.
The government will monitor closely all activities during the Solidarity with Palestine Week in schools, after images showing several students and teachers with toy guns circulated online. In response, the Education Ministry said the use of replica weapons, icons and symbols in a provocative and confrontational manner is strictly prohibited in schools. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim also said necessary steps will be taken to ensure activities during the week do not spiral out of control.
Itu kita kena kawal. Tadi kita bincang dalam kabinet. Pertama, kita galakkan, tidak paksa semua sekolah. Keduanya, kita kena kawal supaya jangan jadi masalah.
Videos of students and teachers with toy guns carrying the Palestinian flags circulated on social media, leading to backlash from some members of the public. The Education Ministry called for the implementation of the Palestine Solidarity Week in schools from 29 October to 3 November. But the move was criticized by some parents and NGOs, who say the ministry should refrain from involving students in the highly politicized event, as most students lack a clear understanding of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
The Melaka Election Court has upheld the victory of Datuk Mas Ermiyati Samsudin for the Masjid Tanah parliamentary seat in the 15th general election. It dismissed the election petition by Barisan Nasional candidate Abdul Hakim Abdul Wahid to have Mas Ermiyati's victory overturned.
In January, Abdul Hakim filed an election petition alleging that bribery in the form of money and banquets was used to woo voters at GE15. The court ruled that the petitioner had failed to prove that corrupt practices took place during the election campaign. It also ordered the petitioner to pay 50,000 ringgit in costs to Mas Ermiyati. The Masjid Tanah MP won her seat with a majority of 4,411 votes in a four-cornered fight last year.
TikTok has denied allegations from the Malaysian government that it was blocking pro-Palestine content. A spokesperson told Reuters that the claims were unfounded, adding that its community guidelines applied equally to all content on the platform. TikTok's statement came a day after Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fazil said there was evidence that the platform has systematically taken down content related to the Palestine-Israel conflict originating from Malaysia. He said the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission (MCMC) was instructed to issue a strong warning to TikTok and Meta, as well as organize a meeting to discuss the issue. Meta have also responded by saying there was no truth to the accusation and that it was not deliberately suppressing voices on Facebook. In other news, the federal government disagrees with Kelantan's move to declassify parts of its permanent forest reserve as environmentally non-sensitive areas. Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad said the move would also have impact on Peninsular Malaysia's forested areas policy.
The Kelantan state government decided last week that permanent forest reserves, except for water catchment areas, will not be classified as environmentally sensitive areas. Nik Nazmi said the decision will have huge implications, especially on the government's policy to achieve 50% forested land in Peninsular Malaysia. The move, he said, will also affect the Central Forest Spine ecological network and the ecosystem balance in Kelantan. He added that the population of the Malayan tiger and other animals in Kelantan, including elephants and tapirs, will also be endangered. Nik Nazmi said his ministry would send an official objection to the Kelantan government on the matter.
Just years away from becoming an aging nation, how can Malaysia better prepare for the needs of its elderly population? Dr. Chang Peng Kee from the Taylor's Active Aging Impact Lab emphasizes the need for Malaysia to develop more inclusive infrastructure that caters to senior citizens.
Not just only the government, maybe also the corporate or many other agency that they may also have to ensure some kind of older people friendly. We do have a lot of all the infrastructure is actually talking about friendly for the handicapped. But have we ever thought of something to do with the older people, like maybe the activity center and so to say? And we are not talking about the old folks home nowadays, but we are actually talking about the activity center is actually to let the older people to live happily with their peers, with their friends, and so-called that they can enjoy their life.
Chang said there should also be initiatives for the elderly to stay active, even post-retirement.
There is a beginning, there is an end. So I think that they have to be prepared to accept the rarity that to maybe come up from the job workplace. But if the government can ensure some kind of activity that not to just only stay at home for doing nothing, so or called idle, and that is actually getting bad, not just only for the physical health, but actually for the mental health.
We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Asking the tough questions is what we do every day here on Astro AWANI. Catch me every weeknights at 10:30 p.m. across all AWANI platforms.
Sedar atau tidak, dunia kini sedang menghadapi krisis tenaga elektrik. Sejak dari tahun 2021 hingga pertengahan 2022, kita menyaksikan kesan ketara kenaikan harga elektrik di seluruh dunia. Di Malaysia juga tidak terkecuali. Tetapi rakyat tidak pernah merasa sebarang kenaikan kerana subsidi yang diberikan berulang kali. Namun, sampai bilakah kita mampu bertahan? Sebagai pengguna, kita boleh membantu negara menangani krisis tenaga ini dengan menggunakan elektrik secara bijak dari sekarang.
Welcome back. On to updates in Gaza. A medical team and 10 aid trucks has entered the Gaza Strip on Friday, carrying water, food and medicines. However, the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency said there is still no agreement to get fuel into Gaza, threatening life-saving humanitarian operations there. Israel Defense Forces said targeted raids continued inside Gaza for a second straight night as they prepare for the next stage of the war against Hamas. They have also raised the number of remaining hostages in Gaza to 222 people, including foreigners believed to be captured by Hamas during the incursion. 4 hostages have been released so far. Meanwhile, Gaza's health ministry has published the names of thousands of Palestinians killed in the Israeli attacks after US President Joe Biden questioned the reliability of its death toll. The war, now in its 20th day, has resulted in over 7,000 Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks. China's former premier Li Keqiang died of a heart attack just 10 months after retiring from a decade in office. The 68-year-old, once viewed as a top Communist Party leadership contender, was sidelined in recent years by President Xi Jinping, who tightened his grip on power.
Li was China's number 2 leader from 2013 to 2023 and was seen as a leading proponent of market-oriented reforms. But he was left with little authority after Xi became China's most powerful leader in decades, exerting greater control and emphasizing state-owned enterprises. As a top economic official, Li had also been tipped as a strong candidate to succeed outgoing President Hu Jintao in 2013 before Xi came to power. State media CCTV said Li had been resting in Shanghai recently and had suffered a heart attack on Thursday before dying.
Over in Thailand, Paetongtarn Shinawatra, daughter of former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, has been elected as the new leader of the party that heads the country's ruling coalition. She was elected unopposed along with a new executive committee at Thai's general meeting today, cementing her family's grip on power following a general election earlier this year.
Paetongtarn was also given several senior positions in the new government, including seats on the National Health System Development Committee and deputy chair of the Soft Power Strategy Panel. Critics see the move as an attempt to strengthen the Shinawatra clan's grip on the party and government. But Thai Deputy Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai said her appointment was based on her abilities, adding that it would pave the way for the younger generation to get involved in the party and politics. Paetongtarn was the figurehead of Thai's election campaign. She was named as one of the party's 3 candidates for Prime Minister.
US police in Maine have extended their search for suspected mass shooter Robert Card, with the manhunt now surpassing 24 hours. The town of Lewiston, where the shooting took place, was largely shut down on Thursday to enable hundreds of officers to continue their search. Several search warrants were also conducted in the neighboring town of Bowden, where Card lived. Law enforcement surrounded his residence for over 2 hours, but found that no one was inside. An arrest warrant has been issued for Card, accusing him of murder following a shooting at a bowling alley and restaurant on Wednesday evening. The 40-year-old is a U.S. Army reservist who was temporarily admitted to a mental health facility over the summer. With the recent tabling of Budget 2024, the Gender Budget Group examines whether there have been missed opportunities to mainstream gender in its initiatives and policies. Zatia Hanani from the Women's Aid Organization talks about accessibility issues for the vulnerable groups and how to overcome them.
If we say that we have like monetary aids for women and youth, but how these aids could be accessed to this, like especially for the vulnerable groups, which have like different opportunities and different maybe have barriers towards in accessing those aids. And if you want to highlight on what are the initiatives that might seen as gender responsive budgeting. We could, for example, the I Sayang initiative. So, like before this, the GBG, the Gender Budget Group, actually lobbied for like another version of I Suri, which also can contribute towards the house husbands, because as we see, our lived realities, not only women are the housewives, but also like there are some families. Actually, there's many families that are the woman is the breadwinner and the husband is like staying at home caring for their children and caring for the family.
Beatrice from Autism Inclusiveness Direct Action Group, meanwhile, addressed the misconception behind gender responsiveness.
I think we really need to understand every time we talk about gender, it's not about women, but we hone and our battle cry is about helping women. It's because women are left behind. The lack of recognition of the work that we do, the unpaid labor of childcare is also one, and also we cannot continue thinking that women are the secondary labor force. We are not, you know, we are almost half of your population and the nation, and there needs to be a recognition on how do you scaffold them to come up to a position where they actually have actual equal opportunities to participate, not as a secondary workforce, but as a rightful citizen of Malaysia also.
Catch the full discussion on It's About Youth every Friday, 10:30 p.m. only on Astro AWANI.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Fana Sheh. Thank you for watching.
Hello and good evening. I'm Melissa Idris. Welcome to Consider This. This is the show where we want you to consider and then reconsider what you know of the news of the day. A new legal amendment in Sarawak will come into force November 1st, which will allow children born of mixed parentage to apply to be recognized as native